In this video on Google Sheets, we're going to learn about cell ranges. I'm going to introduce you to the sum function, we're going to go into the infinite vertical range, how to use non-adjacent ranges, and how to use basic calculations be combined. Let's get started. So we have our Amazon cart here. I've zoomed in a little bit here so we can see a little bit better what we're talking about. What we're going to do is I've deleted these 4 entries here, you can see them in other ones, and we're going to actually build these from scratch. First thing I want to do is I'm going to count up how many items I have here. Now before we've shown how I could just select those and get the quick sum down here to show that. But what I want to do is I want to have a permanent reference to that. So what I'm going to do is we're going to enter our first Google function. So here where it says number of items, I'm going to hit the equal sign. This once again indicates that we're about to do a calculation of sorts, but instead of typing in numbers, I'm going to type sum, which is going to sum a series of numbers, and then I'm going to do an open parentheses. The parentheses is Google Sheets' way of telling them, here's what you're going to sum. Now, previously what I've shown is that you can put in a particular cell. In this case, I want to sum together all of the stuff that's in column C. What I used to do was sum of C2. If I was to just do that, it wouldn't be much. Obviously, it's just summing together one number. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to change that from C2 and now I'm going to put a colon. This is telling me that I'm about to use an entire range. I want to sum from C2 all the way down to C9. And you'll see that it highlights this particular range to say it's going to add together everything in there. I'm going to close the parentheses and hit return. And now I have a dynamic function in here which is going to auto update. Let's go here and add in a few more items. If I was to change that, you'll notice that my number of items has changed. I could change this one as well, and you'll notice that it reflects it. However, there is one weakness. You'll notice that I'm summing from C2 to C9. If I click there, it's going to show you what I highlight. If I was to add on an additional thing here, it hasn't actually reflected that change. That's because right now I'm only summing from C2 to C9. It doesn't include that. One thing that I could do is I could do all the way down to C10 and just make sure that anything in there would be added on and accounted for. But one thing that's even better is the infinite vertical range. So now I'm summing from C2 to C10. I could change this instead of C10 to just this, C2 to C. This is what I like to call the infinite vertical range. It means it's going to sum everything from here on down to infinity. I could add in 1,000 more rows underneath here, and anything else that gets added in here will be accounted for up there. That one's going to be reflected. So right now I have that one set up, all ready to go. I'm going to be summing together everything in this particular column. Let's do another one right here. I want to do my item totals, where it's going to add together all of this. So I'm going to once again type equal sign to show that I'm doing a calculation, sum, open parentheses, and I want to do everything in the D column. So I'm going to start with D2, and I want to use the colon to represent that I'm going to do a range, and I want to do everything all the way down, anything else that was ever added in to column D. So I'll just do D2 to D. So now I have my item totals there. It's a lot because, well, I did order a lot of snow speeders right there. Let's do the same thing with the tax. I want to add together all my taxes here, so I'm going to hit equal sign, sum F2, and once again it'll highlight that to show what I'm doing, colon F. So everything in that column here. Now things are going to get a little bit trickier because what I want to do is I want to add together the item totals and the item tax. But I couldn't do a sum of all these because my number of items isn't something that I want to calculate. It's not a currency. So I need to do what's called a non-adjacent addition. I'm going to hit equal sign and sum. Nothing new there. But, and this is just an easier way to do it, I can click on that. What I'm going to do is I want to add together that column and this particular one here, but I want to skip that one. So I'm going to hit I1, comma, and I want to do I3. And you'll notice that it's highlighted it as a separate color. This is representing that I'm going to be adding together this one and that one, and you can see what each range is represented by. So I'm doing a non-adjacent column, I1 and I3. I'm skipping I2. I'm going to do that, and it's now adding those ones together. There is one other way that we could do this, and this is where I could use a combination of 2 ranges. I could sort of skip this one here. So let's do a separate addition here, a separate sum. I'm going to add together the unit and the tax, but I'm not going to do it up there. I'm going to hit sum, and what I want to do is I'm going to combine two ranges. With that comma, it allows me to separate the ranges that I'm actually going to be working with. So I'm going to sum together this column and this column here. So you'll see in my equation, it says sum of D2 to D10 and F2 to F10. I'm going to hit return, and that's going to accomplish the exact same thing. I could also change this if I wanted. D2 to D and F2 to F. I'm going to come up with the exact same thing here. So this is summing together two non-adjacent columns. I could even, if I really wanted, I could add on just a single one as well. Let's just add a comma, and I can put anything I want here. There's no limit. I could just add on that column as well. So D2 to D, F2 to F, and just B10 for grins and giggles. Very, very flexible what I can do there. Now, let's up the difficulty just a little bit and make this into a little bit cleaner of a spreadsheet. So I'm going to delete that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add this column all together and multiply it by the tax rate to come up with my final tax amount here. But I'm going to put it all together into one equation. So let's try this. So I'm going to equal sign to represent, I'm going to do an equation. I'm going to do sum D2 to D. So again, I'm going to do everything I have here, but I'm going to multiply it by my tax, which is going to be H8. So now I'm combining two different things. I'm going to take whatever this sum is here and multiply it by the tax rate here, and you'll see that it's given me the total tax amount. I could go even a little bit further. So this is how I calculated the full taxes. I could also do it this way. So this is going to be, take all this, multiply it by the tax rate, but I could also add on plus sum of D2 to D. This is going to come up with everything that I have right here all together. When I have something like this, I could actually now delete this entire tax rate, delete this entire tax column, and right now with one equation, I've done everything. So just to recap, I'm adding together my unit total, I'm multiplying it by the tax rate, and I'm adding it to how much I've spent for everything here. This is now dynamic. This one will change with everything that I need it to do. I could order 10 bee wings, and this will now be reflected. These will work as well. This is more stepwise, but if you're looking to try to come up with one simple cell that has everything you need, there's less clutter here, and this is pretty simple to kind of go through if I want. If you want to make this easier for someone else to look at, this would be a perfect time to add in a note. Right-click, insert note. So if you're ever looking to sort of make it easier for someone else to read, you can add in a note that will explain how you came up with those calculations.